turn it over to Katie Francis from Idaho Resilience Project. Katie's going to talk a little bit about the program and about collaboration efforts that she's working on. So Katie, I'll be quiet and hand the mic to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Chris, for having us today. I invited Haley too, just because we pretty much are partners in crime. And I have been with Idaho Resilience Project for a little over a year now. Originally served in one of the collaboratives and then on the board, and now I'm the statewide coordinator. So I've got to see it from all angles. And so I wanted to share just a couple of things about IRP today and just kind of what we're looking for to expand our collaborative and the work that we are doing. Am I able to share my screen? You know, hopefully, I think, oh yes, we're good. Okay. Give me 1 second to pull this up. I just have a couple quick slides. Don't worry, I'm not about death by PowerPoint. Nobody likes that. But I have so many windows open. There we go. All right, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Perfect. So this is kind of who we are. So the Idaho Resilience Project was originally created back in 2021. And the focus of work really is connecting organizations across the state to help engage not only the people within our communities, leaders and organizations that are serving families and kids, but really our big goal is that we want to help people find hope, thrive within their communities, understand what it is to be resilient and how to overcome those challenges and adversity. So a lot of our original work was focusing on ACEs and the impact that those have on children. If you've never had an opportunity, on our website, we have all the links to, we actually created a documentary back in 2020, 2021. And it's funny when you watch it now because everybody's got masks on, but there is interviews and everything from all across the state of Idaho. It's an awesome film. From there, we also have another kind of like a mini series that we're working on that's called What I Wish You Knew. It's an awesome series about teens and like what it's like to grow up right now in Idaho and what does that pressure look like. And we originally did that here in, over in Ada County, but now we are looking to expand that program across the state and really open up that channel for, our teens and young adults to communicate what it looks like for them today and what they wish people knew about them. So those are some great tools that we have on our website if you've never had a chance to watch some of those videos. Kind of what we're looking for. We are all about just a couple of different things. Like we've got really 4 big focus areas: education, advocacy, increasing mental health awareness, those types of things. And a huge project for us in the coming year is going to be training and education. And so we are creating a kind of almost like a database of available trainers and access to training opportunities across the state, that if you are part of one of our collaboratives, you kind of get first dibs. And we really work to get funding to make these trainings available at little or no cost to the agencies or organizations that we're working with. And also from there is creating more capacity within our organization of people who are already trained. We do a lot of work with TBRI, making sense of your worth. We do trauma-informed schools. We've done a lot of CRIM training, which is the community resilience model, working with a lot of first responders and crisis intervention training, because we really believe that the foundation and part of the success of overcoming adversity is having that knowledge. We also, right now, we've got all of our regions are in what we're calling a sprint to get some funding out this summer. And each organization, each region, because we've got all 7, are kind of their own little entity that they really get to drive what is happening in their communities just based on the needs that they know. Because it's funny, one of our board members always says that there's many Idahos, and there truly are. So we really try to make sure that it's not a one size fits all across the state, that each region is really able to do the work that that they find to be most important. And then our goal too, we just finished our strategic annual meeting a couple of weeks ago, and we really want to get connected with outside, like other organizations in our communities and our regions that we haven't had a chance to yet. I think we're missing a lot of populations. We've got a lot of duplication in services. And I think some of us go to so many meetings that talk about the same thing. We would love to bring those groups together and just make, better use of everyone's time and focus on the needs in each area. So if anybody is interested in becoming a part of this, absolutely let us know. Just like we talked about, we'd love for people to join us. There's not a catch. We just want you to be a part of our team, to share with us what your programs do, what are initiatives that you're working on, so that we can all work together and kind of coordinate to serve across the state. And that's a big piece of who we are that's very unique, is that our organization truly is statewide. Like, we have representation in all 7 of the regions. And that gives us an opportunity to connect with other areas that oftentimes we don't. I know up in North Idaho, it's so different. And oftentimes it's like the great state of Ada is a totally different world. But so we really try and bring in those perspectives from all across the state to make sure that we're serving everybody that we can, making the most connections as possible. And then the last thing I would say is, if you are interested and maybe this is something you want to know more about, this is my email and Haley's email. You're more than welcome to reach out to us and find out more information. I think those are some of the big things of just kind of who IRP is. We've had an opportunity to work closely with KJ as well. So we're excited about that coming up. And a lot of the work we've done, I'd say, in the last year has really been focusing on kids and families. A lot of us have received a lot of those community grants and that kind of a thing. And just that increased access to mental health supports and behavioral services. And then even another big piece is just creating hope, which is healthy outcomes through positive experiences. And so we are really working, especially this summer, to create opportunities for families and kids to have those accesses to positive experiences. Like if we're doing community fairs, community block parties, scholarships to summer camps, those kind of things that just create positives for kids, because a lot of families can't afford some of those activities. So we're really trying to get out in the community and make things more accessible this summer is kind of our big goal. So that's kind of IRP in a nutshell. Haley, is there anything I missed? No, she might be driving.
No, you covered it.
Awesome.
No, I was on mute, sorry. No, you covered it. I also see some familiar faces on this call that were a part of our kind of early asset mapping. So some of you may be familiar with some things we've done in the past. And so yeah, we're excited to continue to grow in North Idaho.
And does anybody have any questions we can answer for you or anything like that?
Questions for Katie?
Katie, will you drop your contact info in the chat?
Absolutely.
Katie, do you provide training to like groups of people on, how to help others build resilience and that sort of thing? Or
Absolutely.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah, that's what we are going to come up with. One of our new kind of pieces of our resource hub is that we really want to be able to identify what training is available, what is it, who is that target audience, and then making that accessible for everybody. Like, how do we get these trainers? How do we get access? So yeah, those are some really big pieces for sure.
So last year when I was down in Boise for I remember some convention or conference of some sort, you guys were there, and I got really interested, but I'm not sure like how to get involved. Like, how do I get into that spot?
So what you would do, just send us your contact information, and then we would add you to our regional kind of partners. We have it's a platform, it's called Basecamp. And so everything we do kind of lives in Basecamp. So you get added to that so you can see everything we're working on. And then there's at least one monthly meeting with that regional team. A lot of them are working pretty ferociously right now to get some summer programs going. But yeah, we would just connect you with kind of who the lead is in that community, and they would invite you to those meetings, kind of share out what they're working on, and then you can kind of jump in. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
And Lisa, KJ, who's on this call, is really one of those that's helping lead that out. So
I'll just get with KJ then and work that out, because I see her too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Other questions for
Katie,
Katie or Haley?
Yeah, I do. So
Awesome.
my question is around programs and services that if you could go into a little bit more detail that you're seeing be effective in our rural communities.
In regard, give me a little bit more of an example.
So just like the IRP work. So, you know, I was thinking about like the summer camps, for example, and it can be challenging to find opportunities like that for kids in rural areas. So I'm curious if you've come across through your network, some like, I don't know, we work in the 0 to 5 space. And so I'm always looking for ways to like streamline those connections. So whether it be in the training of building capacity with the adults or program offerings with youth, if there's some things that come to mind for you. And then the other thing was what type of like measurements IRP is using to track progress?
No, absolutely. So I would say right now with our youth populations, it's different in each area. I know in region 7, like the Salmon Chalice area, so super remote, kind of isolated out in that community, but there's been a lot of work done with a couple of the agencies there that so the mental health providers like Mahoney House and them have connected with the schools, and then the schools are able to serve as a location to offer summer programming. And like we've been able to help fund some of those program costs for kids, offering scholarships. And so really the schools have been a huge piece. I think that's been just a big opportunity for us to really connect with different groups, because that's where you're going to get access to the kids. But then also like some of our groups, like Region 1 and 2, we've got a couple of the United Ways. In Region 7, we've got our United Way, and then other groups have Boys and Girls Clubs. So it really depends on each region that we have been connecting with. But I would definitely say that because we have the overlap, also the other big piece for us, and this is a little out of the age range you work with, but we've got a huge connection with juvenile justice, because we really want to make sure that we're able to bridge that gap in services for kids and try and get them off of the track, obviously, of kind of going down that road. So like in Region 6, which is Pocatello, we have a really awesome program. It's called Sixes, and they work with the city. It's like this amazing art and music facility, and they do, oh gosh, what is it called when they're like rerouted? It's not deferment, but it sounds something like that, diversion. So we work with the diversion programs in juvenile justice in that area, and the kids get to come and do all the classes with the Sixes group. And it's funny, a lot of them have gotten in trouble for graffiti. And Sixes, what they do is they have a contract with the city of Pocatello to do graffiti abatement, but really they're just installing murals all over town. So it's a really awesome opportunity to get these kids involved and, creating something. They've got their police department that's involved. So it's some really cool work there, I would say, on the other side. But that's the beauty of this beast, I think, is that we have so many different groups at the table that often don't get an opportunity to overlap. So when you've got schools, you've got juvenile justice, you've got mental health providers, that has really helped us to connect resources kind of in both directions and kind of wrap around those families that have needs. And then I would say measurement wise, all of our regions do quarterly reporting. And what we really look for in that is numbers of families served, really looking at our demographics and the populations that we're serving, and hopefully trying to connect with some of those more remote and rural zip codes. That's a big piece for us. That's our focus this next year, is like how we can get more people at the table in some of those more like outside areas. We don't want it to just be in the big city. And then, so within that, those measurements too, they're looking at just attendance at their events, like feedback from trainings. We're also in process in most of our regions in completing needs assessments with families. So all of our events and those types of things, we are trying to collect that data just to get a clear picture of where people are even after COVID and what supports they do need for their kids and families. So that was a lot of information. Hopefully that answered your question a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm also going to drop our recent annual report into the chat from our website, because it provides just a good overview of what all the regions have really been up to, what we're kind of thinking about statewide, and can kind of give you a picture of what we've done and where we're headed.
Other questions for Katie or Haley? Katie, how about Katie or Haley? How about maybe a few wins that you guys are proud moments that you've had with some of the maybe the events that you've had or some of the things that you've done throughout the communities? Just maybe a few examples of things that have occurred recently.
Absolutely. I would say Region 6 for us is huge. I think that win with working with the juvenile justice system and the city so closely and just fostering that relationship. Like we've even got the boarding school that's joined that group now, and just a lot of big change makers in that community. And they're able to connect with kids who are often just kind of left out in the dark and have that path traditionally that, you know, we're going to drop out and we're going to become involved in juvenile justice. And that's just not the route we want kids to go. So the impact we've been able to make in that community is huge. And then I'd say the other big one for us is Region 5. So Region 5 is like the Twin Falls, Magic Valley. Every county in Region 5 has like a resilience champion, and each person has hosted at least one like big community event over the year to help families understand, you know, just what is adversity, what is resilience, what does that look like? And it's really cool to see how involved they are. They've got a lot of their first responders and that overlap because we've provided some of that crisis intervention training for them. So that's a pretty cool group too. And then I think our biggest like win every year that I just love to see what everybody's doing, we host something called Hope Week. So Hope Week is in May, and HOPE stands for Healthy Outcomes Through Positive Experiences. And that whole week is all about just giving families and kids opportunities to connect together in like free and no cost ways. So we host different like community events, and we distribute thousands of these like hope kits, and they have like this year it was like frisbees and jump ropes and our hope guides that we publish. That's a great tool for any organization. We can definitely get you guys those too, so check them out on our website. But Hope Week is fun, and we get to get out, and it's a lot of different community leaders will do, like they'll make it like a public statement really that, you know, this is Hope Week in our community, and partnering with schools and different organizations. So I think those are some of our big wins from this year for sure.
Awesome. Love those programs and those events, and good to see the turnout and the buy-in from the communities. Anything else for Katie or Haley? Well, you know, from the entire group, we definitely appreciate the fact that you joined us and shared some of the great information, great work going on with this project. You're more than welcome to hang out. We're going to switch gears and do our virtual roundtable. And really the platform or the objective with our virtual roundtable is it gives each agency an opportunity to share an update, maybe an event that's going on. Sometimes it's a, hey, I'm struggling with this. Has anybody experienced this or had this or know of resources or point me in the right direction? And of course, we love to hear wins. So there are a lot of, you know, wins that happen throughout the month, throughout the year that we like to celebrate as well. So let's kick that off. And there's really no order. It's just who wants to go first. And so with that, who wants to go first? Evelyn, thank you.
Well, I wish I should have shared it last month, but I didn't get a chance to because I got the information after our meeting. But Idaho Housing is reopening their housing preservation program. The HPP program is portal is now reopened for those people who need emergency rental assistance. I will put the link in for them, for anyone who is interested. I know Vinny, St. Vinny's knows this information, but I'd like to put it out there too. Whoever needs short-term utility assistance to any Idahoans that live outside of Ada County, which we serve. So hopefully someone, because they still have funding. They're going to use the funding until it runs out. So hopefully whoever needs it can use it. So that's all I wanted to say.
That's great. Thank you, Evelyn.
Is that available anywhere statewide?
It's throughout it's the only excluded is Ada County. It's everywhere. It's all of Idaho, which is surprising. They were like expecting it to run out of funds in August, but people, I don't think, are realizing that it's reopened for those people who really need it. So I'll put the link into the chat box.
Thanks, Evelyn. Who wants to go next?
Ellen, do you still have the 18-month cap? Is there still an 18-month cap? Okay.
Unfortunately for the Section 8, there is an 18th month waiting list. And I think it's getting a little bit longer because of so many people moving into our area that need that Section 8 help. Hopefully they can hire some more HSs. I don't unfortunately work in the HS. I'm just the FSS housing counselor, but they're trying to get to the people who need the assistance. So just give them hope.
Who's next?
I'll go. This is Donna. Well, our win this month was, you may or may not be aware that St. Vincent's is trying to get like 32 bed mixed use facility with the thrift store on the bottom floor at the site of our old thrift store in Post Falls. So we made it through planning and zoning, and we had our open, public comment section thing at Post Falls City Council last Tuesday night. And the city council gave us the green light to go ahead. So, right, I know. So now we're trying to close our funding gap, but we're still working on that. So we might have some more housing issues in 2025 coming up. Can I do some promotion of events? I just got 2. The housing fair, the housing resource fair will be September 23rd. At McEwen Park. We've got about 15 vendors, people to do tables and share their information. Bug Street Barbers, face painting, food, Hot Club Coeur d'Alene Quartet's going to play the music conservatory, and they are amazing. If anybody's doing an event and they want somebody, it's middle school kids, and they're just like, they're crazy good. I would love it if anybody here that has anything to offer to the Alice population that's looking for resources. If you'd like to come have a free table, it's a pretty fun event. Please just send me an email, put my email in the chat. And then on August 14th at First Pres, we're doing a series of community presentations. The first one was on mental health. Last month's was on disability rights. We did a wheelchair obstacle course and had speakers. This month coming up in August will be on homelessness. So Bill Muck, who is the director of One Site Seniors, was a pastor in Reno, and he and another young pastor went out onto the streets of Reno on 2 separate occasions and went homeless for a week. And so he has, it made like Reno news and stuff, and he's got a pretty interesting story to tell. And then we have a person that went through Family Promise, Lisa, a family that went through Family Promise, and another family that is now working at Homeless Outreach for Heritage. So they're all going to tell their stories, and the purpose is to make the community more aware of everybody in the community and what kind of struggles they face, and hear their stories, because that's how you get past labeling and stereotypes, right? You put a name to a story. So that's all. Thank you.
It's awesome. Thanks, Donna.
Hey, Donna, what time is that event that you mentioned on the 14th?
It starts at 5:30, and they typically go till about 7.
Do you have a flyer for that, Donna, that could go out with the agenda or the minutes?
I will send one as soon as I have it done. I have to do it, and I haven't got it done yet. I just nailed down the date yesterday. But yeah, I can get a flyer. Christian, could I just send it to you and you can send it out to everybody, or is that the best way to do it?
Yes.
Yeah, they're pretty powerful. They're the people that have attended them in the past 2 have been very touched. And they're very thought provoking. So you all are welcome. Please come and support us.
Excellent. Thank you.
I'll go next.
Thanks, Michaela.
So Michaela with Early Head Start. I wanted to share a resource and I'll drop it in the chat. Stanford University offers a free course on poverty in America, and I attended most of it yesterday, and it's pretty phenomenal. It talks a lot about the systems in place that lead to poverty. And so if you have anybody that's wanting to learn more about poverty or why it exists, to help kind of remove some bias, it's definitely something that's really nice to look at. It's broken apart into several 5 to 6 minute videos. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys. And then the other thing is we will be doing a Bubble Palooza. So if you have any families with young children, we are going to be doing an event where we have lots of bubbles. We'll be having an activity, we'll have snacks, water, do a story time, and it is at one of our local parks. Let's see, our next one is July 21st from 10 to noon at Bluegrass Park. And I will send a flyer that can go out with the minutes. And that's what I got.
Awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
A couple quick things to share from United Way. One is just to remind everybody that we still continue to accept applications for our child care scholarship program. However, because our source of funding for that has to be off of our books by September 30th because it's state funds, we'll be stopping accepting applications at this point on September 10th. So if you have families that are thinking of applying or going to apply, that we want to make sure that the community has as much information as we can provide them. The Idaho Child Care Assistance Program, as of July 1st, increased their income eligibility limit to 175% of the federal poverty level. It was previously at 135%, and so that will increase the amount of families who are eligible for ICCP. So with that, our guidelines will now be for our scholarship, just that 175% to 200%, which is basically ALICE, unless there's some extenuating circumstances. But we have 3 people working on that team in our office. So if you have families that are needing help with childcare, finding it, paying for it, if they have maybe communication breakdowns with their provider and us, we can often mediate that. For example, with unpaid back balances, behavioral things. So here to help. The other thing is our competitive grant program, the Community Care Fund, just opened July 5th. So these are competitive grants, typically no more than $10 to $15,000. And what is different this year, so the grant closes on September 30th, but new this year is a letter of intent process. And so if you go on the website, there's just a quick form fill in, and that helps our review teams kind of filter through a little bit more steadily what's a really good fit and what's not. I think the majority of the ALICE serving programs are a fit, and specifically our criteria needs to address ALICE obstacles, and it needs to encompass the 5 northern counties. It doesn't have to serve all the 5 counties, but we specifically have to be here. And then also there's a priority in rural populations as well. So that's the Community Care Fund. And then finally, the Day of Caring, which is a 1-day volunteer event, is coming up at the end of September as well. Lots of things happening at the end of September. So sorry, Evelyn, I feel like maybe I've just been sending these to you directly. Whoops. I'll fix that in a minute. I'll put all the links in there. But the Day of Caring, nonprofits like yours register a project, and I encourage you to think big. Typically, the volunteers take half the time needed that we anticipate. And so thinking about all types of projects that you might need a group of volunteers for. And the great benefit there is that volunteers coming from all around the region, primarily businesses, but there's also civic groups, they really get a chance to see and understand what it is, the fundamental work that you do and who it's for and how it's done and what the, the true community needs are, which is a pretty meaningful relationship to build between the sectors. And then, of course, we also see sometimes volunteers will just really connect with the mission or with staff and eventually become long-term volunteers or board members. And then you also have that connection with the company. So that I will send info over there. If you are a nonprofit and you want to have a project, you can register online. Also, if you are wanting to volunteer, I know St. Vincent de Paul always puts together a volunteer team, and we typically send them out to Luther Haven because we like you guys. We'll let you go have a pretty scenery. But it's a great team building experience, a great day out of the office. So the opportunity is open both as a project and a volunteer.
Thanks, Carrie.
Happy to answer.
Okay, so at Family Promise, we do have space available. So if you have any families that you're working with that are either pregnant or have children under the age of 18 that are literally homeless, just have them give us a call. I'll drop the number in the chat. Other than that, nothing really going on this end.
Lisa, are you guys still are you still doing hotels or are you back in the church?
Oh no, we haven't done that since 2020. Okay. Yeah.
I thought so, but I thought I better check because I try to, when I refer people, I try to prepare them for.
Well, we're on a regular rotation, whatever that means, because it's summertime and our rotation gets weird in the summer because our volunteers get smaller. So I guess while I'm out here, I also want to say we have these things called kaleidoscopes, which means we have a place to have our families, but we don't have the volunteer base. If you know anybody that might be interested in spending a couple hours with the family, having a meal with them, or doing an overnight with them, or doing a 1 hour in the morning or in the evening van drive, like we really are having a hard time getting volunteers, which means all our staff hours are going there, and that's never good. So, so yes, we are in desperate need of volunteers.
I'll go ahead and
so that's okay.
Oh.
Let's go with Vicki and then LaTanya.
Okay, great. The good news is we have moved into our new facility, which is amazing, and hopefully everybody can come out to see it. We have always had a large population of cats in our community. So fortunately, with the new facility, we're able to help more animals that way. What we have been experiencing though, since pretty much just the beginning of this year, I know a lot of people were talking about, the homeless and the Alice population last year and the issues that our community is having with real estate. It didn't really hit us until the beginning of this year. We are at capacity with dogs, and they're large dogs. And we're hearing a lot from people who are either losing their homes, having to move in with somebody else that may have animals and they can't have more animals. We've also heard, and if any of you have information on this, I would love to hear it, that there are apartment complexes now that are restricting the size of the animals that people can have, even though they may already be in that unit. So if anybody has heard anything about that, please let us know. We are trying to figure out how to help as many people as we possibly can. And right now, I think there is one small dog in our population here. All the other ones are big, and they're either being surrendered or they're being dumped someplace, and then animal control picks them up and then they would bring it to us, and they're not being reclaimed. So if anybody, can kind of guide us on what you think is going to continue to happen this year with the homeless and the Alice population as far as animals are concerned, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Thanks, Vicki.
Okay. So with North Idaho College Head Start, we're currently accepting applications and doing selections for our upcoming program year. So if you know anybody that has children that are 3 or 4. They just have to be 5 before that September 1st timeframe. We also do have some teaching positions that are still open. So if you know of anybody that's looking for employment, but then also for anybody, any of the organizations that want to know more about the Head Start, I am available to come and do the different presentations for maybe the group that you're working with, or the volunteer group, or your employees that you have. So just let me know. So.
Awesome, thank you.
I've got an event announcement that I can make. So CD8 is hosting their annual Chef Challenge event, which is October 12th at the Hagadone Event Center. And this is for any foodie out there. If you like food, eat food, which most of us do, I'm assuming, come and check out this event. It's really cool. We'll have 6 local chefs competing in person, cooking, doing mise en place, cooking challenges. And this all goes to raise money to help out hospitality workers in the Coeur d'Alene area, which are a part of our Atlas population. So that is October 12th, and tickets are on sale now. We're looking for sponsors. We're looking for volunteers. So if you're interested, just feel free to reach out to jason.n@cda.org or drop me a message on here. Thanks.
Awesome. Very cool event. Thanks, Jason.
So navigation, we have, just want to let everybody know, we have funding. We have emergency assistance funding, career enhancement funding. Most typically with emergency assistance, we're covering rent, utilities. It's not limited to that, but that's primary. Career enhancement that allows us to help whatever the need may be, individuals either secure or maintain their employment. And then we also have kinship funding for families who are raising a child that is not theirs. Can be a relative child or a non-relative child if they have that kinship relationship. We did have a period when we, at the end of our fiscal, we had a blackout period for payments, and then we transitioned into a new payment system at the same time. So we did experience a period of time where we were not able to process payments, and it slowed our payments, which is always kind of stressful and never good. But our win is that it's working, and we're through that and back to hit the ground running. So
awesome. Thank you, Chrissy. Let's go to KJ.
Yes, I know we're about out of time. I just wanted to put again on the radar the Strengthening Families Coalition's resilience training that is going to be held September 15th and 16th. It's the same training each day. It's just offered twice. And we hope to get the registration up and live by the end of next week. I'll send announcements out to everybody. The goal of it is for volunteers and frontline staff of any agency or organization that works with any vulnerable population. And it's to develop a common understanding, common language amongst those frontline people. The first third or so of the training is sort of about what happened, what's happening with those individuals, covering topics in poverty and ALICE, et cetera. And then then we move into building resilience training, and we work through topics of hope and motivational interviewing and et cetera, et cetera. So we hope to have people end the training with some common skills amongst all of them that they will take back to their organizations, some common understanding and some common skills. And the whole goal is to help build resilience in those populations and have everybody sort of working from the same page. Let me know if you have any interest or something you'd like to contribute to the training. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, KJ. If anybody didn't get a chance to jump in, send me your information. I'll make sure it's included in the information that we send out, including the recording of today's ALICE meeting. So my ask for everyone is as you move forward for the remainder of this month and the remainder of this year, if as you're looking at your network, please invite people, community agencies, community members to this event. I'd love to see more faces on here. I love this group. I'd love to see it grow as well. And we need your help to do that. So with that, we're at 10 o'clock.